stand out. And the one lesson I've taken away from the current political cycle in the United States of America is that sometimes the news media don't cover what you'd expect them to cover, and they focus in and really cover something. You go, huh? What?
Yeah,
what's
I know,
that about?
Inane crap.
Yeah, so I don't think any of the old rules apply anymore. I think we all have to learn this as we go. And the mere fact that there were YouTube personalities or Twitter personalities or something personalities who basically went and bought clothes and put them on and modeled for the camera, and got followers and asked the followers, how do I look? Does this dress make me look fat? Sort of thing. And it was like, okay, you mean you have followers for that? Why?
Yeah. That's been me ever since YouTube first started. It's like, why?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I understand the appeal of early YouTube, where somebody says, okay, I'm going to show you how to tune your engine.
Right.
Or you got this kit at IKEA and it doesn't go together right. Well, watch as I put it together right. I totally appreciate that. And Absolutely. There were tons and tons of videos of guys showing how to tie flies and how to smoke salmon and how to cut and dress a bear or a deer or whatever. And you go, that makes perfect sense to me. Or somebody's showing you how to install a toilet and adjust the float valve. That's like gold for somebody living at home.
Right.
And I work in a public library, and little old ladies who don't want to know computers at all, but they have to learn it to get their government forms downloaded. When their toilet goes wrong, they'll be in the library and watching one of these videos intently and coming over and asking me questions. Where did he get that float valve? Can I buy that at a hardware store? You know, and you think, okay, this is a public service. This is really useful. But aside from that, once we step out beyond that to
what's big today?
Yeah, videos of people's cats falling on their head. You know, when somebody does a rap thing, I just sort of scratch my head and go, really?
Yeah. I looked at it and I thought, maybe I'm just getting old. I don't know.
I think we all are. The days passed. I couldn't stop them.
But yeah, it's working to weave that web together to kind of build a base. It used to be in self-publishing that you could sell a book back in like 2011. You could sell a best-selling, not safe for work novel, and it wouldn't cost you it probably wouldn't cost you anything. Nowadays, I had a friend that just got I think a book ranked all the way up to 150 or 200 on Amazon, and she said that she spent a good $10,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. What they are doing is turning something that should make money for the author into a revenue stream for themselves.
Oh yeah.
And in the long term, it doesn't make it fiscal sense, economic sense for anybody to write novels unless they want to lose a lot of money. You know, in other words, if you start worth millions and you want a vanity publish and you don't care how much money you throw, then do it. But then again, if you're in that position, it would strike me that you've got so much money, you could again create a media event. Like you could buy a barge and put it down the River Thames, setting it afire to blow up and burn. Well, all the hired nude starlets you put on to dance with you and told all the TV crews to cover this would get you better coverage than giving money to ads. See what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it's like, well, okay. Now we do have a tag, an erotica setting called In So Deep. So when that comes around, you might want to wait for it.
Absolutely, and I think my work has gotten stronger since I first started. But yeah, whenever you guys decide to dip your toe into that,
it's not our toes we'll be dipping.
What Mr. Greenwood meant to say.
Yeah, what Mr. Greenwood meant to say. Yeah, unless you're into that. Unless you're into the toe dipping. Yeah.
Hey, I've heard people, you know what? I ran into a lot of stuff when I was doing it full time. That came out wrong. I ran into a lot of freaky kinks. And hey, power to people. If they have a kink, good on them. But what I meant to say was, whenever you open it up, I will probably be interested in it.
Excellent. Yes. And we should be so glad that people have different kinks and otherwise exhibit different interests, because if they didn't, I think one person would get a job as a novelist in the world in a given language. And we'd all have to wait till they died before somebody else got to write one. It's the mere fact that, people go for different things that means all of us can find, a career.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you ever, I know that you probably have a lot more experience than I do, but I mean, if you ever had any questions about erotica, I'd be happy to answer. As I mean, the genres and things.
Oh, my questions are, yes, as I get older, and it gets colder outside in the winter here in Canada, how do I accomplish the field research and the top of tombstone research and the hood of car research?
Well, you have to start with leg stretches.
Leg stretches. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think we're ready to role play. No.
You get the robe and I'll get the whip. No.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Reaching right here for the. Okay. Yeah. So this is going up on YouTube as we speak, right, Kat?
I'm trying.
Don't worry. More interesting that we can get a game going. And again, I have no rush. I'm perfectly happy to hang out.
Give me just another thing. My sincere apologies. I haven't done any of this since they did the merge to YouTube, and so I wasn't aware that we were going to be hosting it, and so I'm incredibly unprepared, and I apologize to everybody for that.
Oh, I was just told about this, and I just came on because John said it's about the game with Ed Greenwood. I'm like, oh, better wake up.
Yeah,
we're still waiting for the other players anyway, so I figured we would wait until round 3, and if nobody shows up, it's just going to be the 3 of us then.
Right.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with that. I can run 3. That's perfectly okay.
I don't know. Every now and then, John and I would just run him and I. He would run, and I would play, or I would run and he would play, and that was, to me, that was fun. I remember running Gamma World, and John and I would have a blast. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and in fact, interestingly that you say that, I just had to write an essay for a forthcoming gaming book the last 2 days on when you have to game master for tons of people, like a large group, and when you have to game master one-on-one, all the cool campaigns. And there's all sorts of campaigns, like being a ninja or a secret agent with a mission, or being a novice magic user trying to learn how to create spells and use them and experiment with them and get the ingredients, and then go adventuring to make enough money to pay the rent and buy the ingredients and eat, and then do it all over again, that are best suited to one-on-one play. And
absolutely.
There's all sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, that's really cool. I think there are far more one-on-one players and DMs across the world than most gaming companies want you to think, because they're in the business of selling books to tons of people.
Right. And they want you to think of the big group buying lots of books to keep, if they're a public company, to keep investors happy, and if they're a private company, to keep themselves happy.
Sure. I remember back in the early days of TSR, the board of directors listened to a presentation that the design department did about D&D, and one of them said, "So wait a minute, you got an average of 6 people for every dungeon master?" And they said, "Yes." And they said, "So you sell these dungeon master screens?" They said, "Yes." He says, "Well, there's where you've been making a mistake. You should sell player screens. You could sell 6 times as many." Boy, you guys are idiots.
And they had no clue about their own product.
The designer just sort of said, "You don't play the game, do you?" So guess what? They went upstairs and designed player screens. And then because they didn't want to lose their shirts, they sold them in those plastic boxes with little mini adventures put in them. You might remember those black plastic cases.
Yeah, well, I wasn't around in those days, but I've done my research.
Yeah, they existed because somebody said, those guys are idiots. And the response from downstairs from the suits was, do you want to have a job? Like day in? Oh, okay, yes, sir. And they went and designed player screens. And they said, okay, we got to sell these things. So they wrote little short adventures, shoved them inside the player screen. So they said to the general people, the general rank and file gamers, the only way to get these really cool adventures is to buy this box. And that's why those boxes were known as bozo boxes. The company. Not for the people who bought them, but for the people who ordered their creation. Oh yeah, the bozo boxes.
I'd like to touch on something right quick about, I'm sorry to just keep talking business.
No, go ahead. Go right ahead.
But for the past 4 or 5 years, I've actually branched out into another type of fiction, choose your own adventure fiction. Now, a lot of people said, that died in the 80s. And it's fair to say that. However, there's been a resurgence, and I thought the resurgence would die, but it has not. I've actually am prepared to, I'm preparing to publish one for Pathfinder. And I've already done one for a small one for Pathfinder, and it did fair through Avalon Press. So, and that might be an idea.
Oh, because we already have plans in tech to do those.
Forge your fortune.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So you're ahead of the game.
Forge your fortune.
Yep. Forge your fortune.
Okay, so you guys are ahead of the game.
Oh, yeah. We got it.
We will be opening up for proposals for that. Yeah. Oh, yes. So, and if you can write a good choose your own adventure / pick a path / forge your fortune book, we want to hear from you. And because the difficulty of looping and charting the thing and getting it to fit into a reasonable word count and still be interesting and have multiple ways of finishing the story that aren't, oh, you chose the left-hand door, instant death, whoa! Which is the bad sort of way of writing those books, where you're not given enough data to make a proper choice. And you're never given a fail-safe, as in, this isn't going well, I want to change my mind, or I want to double down, or I want to step back. You aren't. It's sort of like instant. Okay, you made the choice, you're doomed. Just read this. Well, we want to avoid that.
In the books that I've done, and this is going to sound stupid, but I always put a little line at the bottom of certain pages that you can go to, because I develop the web before I start writing.
Right. Good. Excellent. Good. Okay.
And at the bottom, I say, if you want to go back, go here or go here, because it lets you. It's kind of like a sandbox in a way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I developed.
That's perfect. If you can build in multiple paths so that people can play it over and over again in different ways, and so that they can second guess themselves, those are much better books than the short, snappy choose your own adventure where you find yourself on the same page at the same paragraph, no matter, over and over again, no matter which path you take through the haunted house or the Pharaoh's pyramid or whatever it is, you end up back in the same spot. And you think, so I'm circling. And then you think, I'm wasting my life circling. So if we can avoid
this is too much like the real world, I'm depressed.
Yeah, exactly. How is this exactly an escape? Yeah. So if we can avoid that, that's great. And we want to do those. We want to do those in spades because we think it's a way of getting the whole family to experience a setting, even if they're not gamers, or they don't have time or inclination to read long novels. Right. So in other words, if your grandmother wonders what it is you do with this weird tech stuff or this weird D&D stuff or whatever, and you can give her a Forge Your Fortune book and say, we have adventures like this. And if you choose your Forge Your Fortune book wisely, it won't be something that offends your grandmother. It'll be something that entertains her. And she'll say, oh, that was fun. I didn't know anything about these, but that was fun, you know. And I'm hoping that what we'll be able to do with all these people writing for TEG is we'll be able to get enough of a gamut of books that you can pick one for any age range and any taste sensibility. You know, so you won't have the reverend from the pulpit speaking disapproving. Oh, these books are smut and filth. I know, I saw one. You know, but if he sees the right one, he'll say, "Those are. I think you should give it a chance." It was fun. Yes, I liked it. You know, you think, oh, good. You know, so, and I figure we can write them at all levels, but we just have to figure out how to get the right ones in front of the right people, so that the hardened gamers, or for that matter, the hardened not safe for work crowd, get something that is entertaining for them, and their maiden aunt doesn't get offended because she gets the same book. You know. But that's something we have to think about, how we market them, how we connect them with the right people, because that's really all sales are connecting something with the right person,
and that's the hard part. The funny thing you mentioned about being offended is that used to be a big thing in like the 80s, the 90s, and then that kind of died down a bit, and now just very recently it's starting to get brought back up again. People, you know, very easily offended about, you know, Dungeons and Dragons or gaming, or, you know, this is sexist, this is racist, this is blah blah-ist.
Mm-hmm. It goes around and comes around. Society does this. It ping pongs back and forth between permissiveness and an attempt to control general behavior by an agreed upon set of values.
And it's depressing.
Yeah, sure, it's depressing. And that latter half, that latter axis, the social values, is where creative people of all sorts run into the most trouble, because they find that inevitably these taste things are restrictions.
And that's been my challenge.
It can be fun though. If you look at all the bedroom farces of Oscar Wilde and Sheridan before him, and all of that stuff, sort of ending around the time of Noel Coward.
Yeah.
What they are is taking things where you're only supposed to speak in certain ways, and you're only supposed to be certain sort of polite, and wringing it and twisting it into your face for all it was worth. So it doesn't ever actually cross the line.
But everybody that envelope.
Yeah, it's pushing it. It's in your face. It's going snide at every moment. So everybody in the audience knows. You know, and in the same way that, you know, Queen Victoria could say of Gilbert and Sullivan, "We are not amused," but she couldn't stop it, because they hadn't actually crossed the line. They were using it for vicious satire of real people, and some of them her politicians and so on of the day. But she couldn't actually ban anything or say no to anything, because there was nothing quite over the line.
Absolutely.
So it was letter of the law, but not spirit of the law. And I think there's room for us and lots of creative people to operate in that area if the pendulum swings.
I'd love to.
It's almost more fun.
It is. It is.
Because if you can open your book by using every swear word you can think of, okay, that fills up the first half page. And then what do you do? But if you can do those little where you head for something that is bloody obvious, and then you substitute a word at the last moment. I reached out and grabbed her elbow. You know, that sort of thing. It's almost more fun.
It really is. And I don't know. I remember back when I was a freshman in college, I did a play, and every joke was juxtaposition. And I was trying to learn how to use juxtaposition just to see if I could do it. And everyone loved it. And I thought, wow, people think this kind of stuff is funny.
Yeah. It's the old Bob and Ray thing, where you go, okay. And I see we had hello.
Ooh. Hi, Stephen.
Hello.
Hi there.
So we are finally gathering. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mentioned that if no one else showed, I do have Ruben did get a ticket to sign if y'all needed a spare.
Oh, I like that logo.
One second.